Hey guys, it's your course director Emily Ray here. Just wanted to give you some positive, productive feedback on these portfolio sites that you recently submitted now. Your portfolio theoretically will never be done. You will constantly be building your skill set and doing cooler and cooler work. So this is maybe just the second time that you have touched your portfolio in the MCBS program in an official capacity, but please know that you will continue to build on what you've created here as you progress through the portfolio curriculum. So please take the feedback that is provided here today in an effort to evolve your site to its next best place. So I'm going to start here with Josh's site. So it's very clean. You've got your branding information right up here at the top, the logo. In this kind of small capacity, the JS Designs is a little difficult to read over kind of on this aperture. Something you might want to consider, simplifying in a way. You have kind of this stroke outline on the text, which looks like it's got some texture to it, or some intricacies in there, and at smaller sizes it's just going to be more difficult to kind of see and fully appreciate that detail. So kind of scrolling down, we've got just a little bit of a welcome message and an introduction to who you are. Scrolling down, see some awesome photography work here, but don't really have a lot of context to understand what I'm seeing just yet. You do say that this is designs and that you're a media expert. So I'm going to click on this to see what happens. And as this pops up kind of in a light box, we do see that it's a title, Girl at the Lake. But are you, Terracotta Chariot? So what are you showing me here? Is this photography? So here you're telling me that this is an advertisement. And I can see that you've done some photo manipulation work here, which is cool, but I'd like to know more about that. Who is this an advertisement for, and for what purpose, and where could this have been seen, and what was the software that you use? Keep in mind that all of this information is keyword-rich metadata that can help people find you and find your work. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top and go to the About section, or the About page. Okay, so that's loading up. So here it gives me a video right off. So this section, it says learn more. I thought maybe that might be a link, but it doesn't seem to be, because as I hover it over, it doesn't seem like that's going to take me anywhere. It seems a little bit kind of counterintuitive, because you say kind of throughout most of my life, but then you show this video up here that it's hard to tell who this site is about, because you don't give me any context for this video itself. You have this kind of on screen text that says alter ego cosplay documentary director, and I don't really have any context to understand this. I don't know if that's you on the screen. I don't know if what you're saying is that you created this documentary as the director. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the way that you present this information, particularly within the order here. So kind of scrolling down, we see your CV, which shows that you're the owner of this particular company, and I can click here to learn more about that and to see your professional resume on LinkedIn. And I've got your education, school, and certifications. So, and then some information about you being in the MCBS program. Seems like maybe you could consolidate this information on the page. I'm doing a lot of scrolling, but don't really see much actual content. I see a few links that I could go other places, but I think that there's a better way to do this so that it's not quite as sequential, like first I see this, then I see this, something that I could absorb a bit, scan it, and kind of spend some time in the areas that most interest me as the visitor to your site. Back up to the top here, I'm going to go to videos. So here I see a number of different potential, places that I could explore more closely your skills in this area. And so what I like here is that I have both the title and then the description, right? So film during while making a cosplay. I appreciate that you say it was filmed, edited, and directed by me, just so that we can understand the full scope of your involvement on these projects. It's great. If you also maybe want to include the technology that you use, so that way people can understand, what is it that you use to edit, or, maybe do motion graphics, and understand, if that was a service they need, that they would come, could come to you for that. Under services, so here, you say that you have a diverse range of services, and then I scroll to see it. This is a bit redundant, right? So get in touch, get in touch. I'd like maybe more of a description for each of these, like how does this, like what kind of consulting do you do, and is it by the hour, and how much do you charge for that, and what kind of design do you do, and what does that look like if I wanted to do a website with you or a marketing package. These things look like they are they might be stock imagery from Wix. So I certainly encourage you to replace this with your own work, because as a media professional or expert, you can surely replace this with your own stuff. You're talented enough to create something that is a bit more relevant for your line of work. So thinking about how you could approach this moving forward, that'd be an area that I would explore. So book in line, so I could book film services with you. So then I could just go to the calendar there, or do photography shoot. I don't know if this is setting up more of a workflow for you than, I don't know if it causes more work than it solves, I guess is what I'm saying. When I go here to book this, do you have anything on these days? It seems... Is this a calendar that you are actively working off of, and that I know that if I were to, say, need to book you on the 22nd at 2 p.m., that you would in fact be available for that? Do you have the systems in place so that this is functional and what's the word I'm looking for, and useful for your clientele, that they can have confidence? So just something that if you're providing this tool, make sure that you're supporting it within the larger context of your workflow. Not saying that it's not useful, just saying you need to have these other things in place just in case that like somebody really wants to schedule with you on these particular days. Overall, this is a very full-featured site. You got a lot of great content, but a little bit more explanation of a few certain things, and some clarity on that service offerings. And I think you're going to be in a really great place. And I can see that this is a wonderful starting point, and where it's going to be headed in the next couple months. So next up, we've got the creative design and marketing site of Jeff Shaw. So kind of, we get strong branding up front. I'd say that this looks a little crowded, maybe making this a little bit smaller, give this navigation a little bit more breathing room, drop this stuff just a little bit, further down. Having these two that look exactly the same, from the start. I know that these are kind of motion graphics or short advertisements here, but in the thumbnail state, they look exactly the same. So kind of looks as if perhaps like maybe it was a duplicate upload, something to that effect. So just to think about that. You've got some amazing design work here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I see it in sort of its full full grandeur here. It looks awesome, but I would really like to see a title and a description of the work, who you created it for and why, how it's being used, how I might see it out there in the world, what was the software, the technology used. These are also, great details that will help people fully understand your capabilities as a media creative. So in your portfolio here, you have a lot of different, things for me to take a look at. I'm going to pop back over here and then go, let's take a look at abstract first, see what happens. So it's bringing in some photography. So I like that you've given this the title here, and then you've somewhat explained what it is that we're looking at. This is particularly interesting because I find out more about you and your approach and your creativity through this context that you're providing, which is cool. Again, this part is super crowded up here. It looks like these two yellows are different. Don't know, this one's more golden, and that's some like maybe more Crayola yellow. Just give this a little bit more room to breathe. I'm not sure that this needs to be quite as big, so like it's almost as if your logo takes up 1/3 of the viewable space, and you want to make that less so that I can look at this full image and the title within the viewable space that I have here in my browser. Let's go to street photography. So here, some pictures that you've taken. I really appreciate this contextualization of what you've done here. For everything that you choose to share on your portfolio, please give it something like this so that I can understand why you're sharing it. Give me the context to understand the content that you are sharing here on this page. So the creative journey, I'm not sure what to expect here. So this looks like it is a blog. This is your student blog, basically detailing your journey, which is cool. I might, if you can, squeeze in just sort of the creative journey, and then just say that, like, follow my adventures as, a student in the MCBS program, or follow my educational journey. Something that gives us context to kind of understand, this post. It's interesting to me that the sort of the archives or the metadata over here kind of seem to extend off the page. I would lay this out in such a way that that's all fully here on the page. The dark blue also doesn't offer quite enough color contrast on this black to clearly be seen in red, so therefore it poses a usability issue. Last but not least, let's go to the About page. So here it looks like we've got a video that we can watch and load in, but nothing else. So definitely want to include some text content here, if only for SEO purposes, to make sure that your name is attached to all of these great creations and that people can very easily find you. It seems like you don't really need an entire page for this. I would encourage you to include this information on your home page with a short sort of hello and bio. It doesn't have to be much, but something that lets us know that we are in fact on the creative site for Jeff Shaw. Next up, it looks like we've got Thomas's site here. So first off, I think, very clean, very stylized homepage here, but then you have copyrighted imagery here. So definitely want you to consider the potential problems associated with using images, artwork, visuals, music, any kind of media that's not your own. Also, it doesn't necessarily convey maybe what you think it conveys, right? We all have very personal associations either with our favorite movies or quotes or actors, but does the world at large understand the context of this clip and get what you're trying to do with it? That's definitely a perspective I'd like for you to approach building this portfolio. Does it make sense for people who don't know me, or know, my sense of humor, or know my approach? You have to have the context to understand the content, and I don't think that we do have the context here. So you're a marketer, producer, and problem solver. I like that quite a bit, but there's not much here on the homepage, right? So remember, the homepage is the only page on your site that you can guarantee that someone's going to get to from that main URL. And from here, they have a few options. One of them is to scroll through and look for more stuff, and the other one is just to continue surfing the web and look for something else. You want to take advantage of this high value real estate, which is this area before we have to start to scroll, to say something compelling and to put forth a navigational structure or map that helps your visitors or your users know how to move through, understand, and appreciate your content and what you're sharing. So we've got like a small logo over here, but it's teensy tiny, and so it's hard to see any detail or kind of understand the symbolism in that. And then we have the ability to contact you here. I'm going to go ahead and select that, but as I'm doing that, nothing happens. So the functionality of that button isn't quite there. Going on to my work. So here, these are examples. One thing to note is this banner image, as it changes into this dark color, makes this logo virtually unseen up here. So here we've got voiceover and editing, voiceover work, podcast and outreach. So you've got some awesome things here, but this page looks, kind of cluttered. I would recommend not kind of stacking them side by side in a 2-column layout, but maybe showing your asset here, and then over on the side, maybe giving me the title, the description, a full sort of explanation of your roles on the project and sort of what the outcome was there. I like that you have these categories for that, because that kind of helps me understand and scan through this, but it's very crowded and looks almost somewhat overwhelming. I don't know where to go or what to push. So to the extent that you can clean this up, better title and better explain these things, I think that will serve you well on this portfolio website. On the About page, so here we get a little bit about you. This is a great short introduction to who you are and what it is you like to do, and a few testimonials here. I think this information needs to be on the homepage, introducing you as the creative behind this site first and foremost. Last but not least, we're going to go to this contact page, where you let people connect with you on LinkedIn and submit a form here for you to get in touch. But why do you want people to contact you? Do you have services that you would like to provide or collaborations you'd like to do? Some topic that you want to geek out on with somebody, or give them a call to action. Say, who it is that you're trying to connect with, so people can easily see that that's them or not. Next up, we have the site of Angel. So she's a creative content creator. I like that we learn that right up front. It seems a bit redundant to kind of have this logo underneath this like more fully explained version of your name and your tagline. So what I might recommend here is maybe create a stylized, iconic version of this and placing it up in this area here. And then also moving your navigation up a little bit into this space up here, and that will move the rest of your content up on the page a bit. So we've got a little bit of an about you, a nice photo, and then the kinds of work that you're looking to do. I like that you make this very clear up front, so that we know kind of where your skills, interests, and talents lie. Coursework and projects. So here we have just a few videos, some graphic design. So I like that you give it the title and you tell me what you did on it. Maybe a little bit of a description of each of these. And then I'd also like to encourage you to not putting it in this 2-column layout where these are very tiny, sort of thumbnails. Like if I press play and it starts to play in this tiny little space here, it's harder for me to see and fully appreciate. I would maybe recommend, and I'm going to draw this out with my screenshot tools here, I would recommend maybe doing a larger version of each of these videos to about this size, and then on the right-hand side there, give it that title and sort of that paragraph description of the project and the full scope of your involvement on it. Let's see what's next. Background and experiences. So here, we've got your work experience, and then some. It seems as if you've got some photos that you've taken, but it doesn't really seem like these photos connect. I guess it connects because of your, your experience in the Army and what you did there. But it seems like this stuff could also be showcased, just as, coursework and projects, right? So, maybe giving more information about what you did in these roles and more fully detailing this backstory, and then showcasing this content in more of the portfolio or project section. Going to go to resume. So here we see sort of your full summary of qualifications and how that looks. It is definitely more detailed. I don't see why this is a separate page because there's not much content on this page at all. I would go ahead and recommend that you consolidate these two things into a single page, so I'm not having to poke around to get the full picture. Last but not least, we got a contact form here. So I'm eager to work on collaboration and individual projects. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm urging you to have a call to action or be specific about why people should contact you. This is a great example. You say, if you want a writer, photographer, videographer, or creative content creator, contact me. That's great. That's all you need to do. It's not rocket science. It's just a simple statement that helps focus, and drive the types of contact and traffic through your site that you're looking for. And overall, these are really strong, you guys. Pleased with what I see here at this point in the program. Please know that this site will and should change between now and the time that you graduate. It should become more of a refinement and a closer representation of who you want to be in the media industry. If you guys have any questions about the content of this video or the feedback, give me a shout. And as always, I look forward to continuing to be a resource to you in the portfolio process.